once we're untethered from a commodity, essentially like gold, I guess, that has a finite, of which there's a finite amount of, money is not really paper dollars per se, right? Money is, what is money?
Well, money in the modern era we shouldn't be thinking of it as a physical thing. So take, for example, the decision last week, right, in the Senate. Your listeners probably heard about this. The Senate voted to dump a huge sum of money into the military budget, far more than even the White House was requesting, and they voted to spend $700 billion on the military. Okay.
Right. I think they wanted $54 billion more, and the Senate gave them like $80 billion more.
$80 billion more. Yeah, they said, no, that's not, take more. And then in addition to that, they authorized the production of something like 94 new F-3 jets, 24 more than the Pentagon had requested. So it was just like, take $700 billion, we'll give you more than you even asked for. And, 89 senators stood up and voted for this legislation. Now, where did they get the money to do that? And the answer is they didn't get it from anywhere. The money will be created as a result of the vote. So it's the congressional authorization to spend that triggers a whole bunch of payments that are now going to be made out of the Treasury's account to sellers in the defense and contracting industry and so forth and so on. So where does that money come from? Ben Bernanke has been pretty candid about this. He was the Fed chair before Janet Yellen, and he was asked in a sit-down interview with Scott Pelley, hey, is that taxpayer money the government is spending? And Bernanke's response, I'll give you the exact quote, he said, it's not taxpayer money. He said, these banks have accounts at the Fed, and when we spend money, we just change the numbers up in their accounts. Wow, that was pretty candid. And so what he's saying is the government gives us instructions, and they tell us we're going to spend money on X, Y, and Z. And our job is to go out and make those payments on behalf of the federal government. So we change numbers in balance sheet. We change numbers in someone's account up. You spend another, $40 billion on something, we put the $40 billion in someone's account. It's not a physical transfer of cash. It's an electronic spreadsheet entry.
How is it different from credit? I mean, how is that concept different from me going to, the Gap and buying a new shirt and saying, like, here's a piece of plastic. I'm paying you with that plastic. How is that different? How is it different from credit? Right. I mean, I'm not giving them anything. I'm just, here's this. So look at my plastic.
It's different because what you're doing is you're telling the Gap that Visa is intervening on your behalf, that Visa is going to handle the payment. And so what you're showing them is something that they trust, the Visa, the MasterCard, whatever the case may be. And the Gap is saying, okay, that's cool. We know that we're going to get paid, so we're going to let you walk out the door without tackling you when you leave with your shirt. And so, but you haven't paid for the shirt at that point. You've substituted a third-party obligation, and you said they're going to handle the payment. But they're not finished with you, right? Because at some point you're going to go to the mailbox and you're going to find a little envelope in there, and Visa's come knocking at your door. And what does Visa want? They want you to pay for the shirt. And so, you're probably going to pull out a checkbook. Maybe you're going to have an electronic payment. You'll go to your computer and take care of it. But maybe let's say you write a check. And so, you sit down, you fill out your check, you put it in the mail. Visa opens up the envelope, and there's a check from Sam Seder. I say, oh, this is great. Look at that beautiful signature. We're just going to hang on to this check because that's all we need from Sam. No, Visa's going to cash the check. And what happens when Visa cashes the check is they get government money. That's the end form of payment. It's the final means of payment. So when the government is paying for the military spending we just talked about, it's already making a final payment. It's paying with its own dollars. So you can't do that, and I can't do that, and poor Puerto Rico can't do that because they can't muster up dollars out of thin air. The federal government of the United States is different. It's given unto itself the exclusive right to create the U.S. dollar. There's not an entity on earth other than the federal government who can create the dollars. That's where they come from, and that's why they can never run out, and it's why they get to play by a different set of rules. They're not like a household or private business.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos